Welcome everyone, and no, it's not a mistake. This is the right place. This is the Caring View, and thank you very much for the Caring View for having us. It's Black History Month, and it's a Black History Month takeover. The Caring View have allowed us kindly to have taken over the Black History Month to showcase all the wonderful things that that the Black people have brought to health and social care. So we give thanks to Adam Purnell and Mark Tops for allowing me to present the show today. And just to let everyone know, all views are your own, so that no one can not but just be themselves, but we also want your views to be yourself. But thank you very much for joining us, and please subscribe to the channel if you can, and follow the Caring View. If you haven't subscribed already, I'm sure if you have, they have various things that they do around health and social care and subjects and matters. And we're wonderfully, just really showcasing how wonderful the sector is all round. My name's Dudley Sawyerr. I'm a care consultant and business strategist at People Care Services. I'm also the co-chair of the Race Equality Reference Group for Skills for Care. And today I've got some wonderful guests who are showcasing the wonderful spectrum of people, of Black people within health and social care. Some facts that I would start with is that the Skills for Care State of Adult Social Care Sector Workforce Report in England, like 2022, has shown that 1 in 8 of the health and social care staff or workforce are Black. So this is wonderful. So we know that, you know, out of every group, at least an eighth of us are Black. So this is showcased, and also we have a rich history of working in health and social care. And we have some wonderful guests who are going to showcase that, of some of the things that we're doing in health and social care. And I'm going to start with someone who's really doing big things in health and social care. Her name is Ola Yinka, and she is behind Black Women in Care. And just showcasing, we know that social care is made up of 82% of female population. And of course, a lot of them are Black. So therefore, Ola Yinka, please, I'm going to ask you a few questions just around health and social care and what Black History Month means to you, first and foremost.
Thank you very much for having me, Dudley. My name is Ola Yinka Thomas, and I'm the founder of Black Women in Care. So for Black History Month, it means so many things to me, but also is a reminder of the Black people that have been innovative over the years. Also, the hard work, the intellect, and also the courage of Black people. So it's a time to remember the incredible contributions that Black people have made, especially within health and social care sector that I'm in. So it's a time to remember. Obviously, a month is not enough to say thank you, to remember all the incredible works and contributions that Black people have made within health and social care. The statistics have said that 1 in 8 person people, you'll find a Black person there. So 1 month is not enough, but at least Black History Month is a month to showcase the talents, the gifts, the contributions, the intellect, the innovations of Black people. So yeah, that's what Black History Month means to me. Thank you.
And what role models stand out for you in health and social care? Black role models, or if any, should we say?
There are a couple of role models, but I will first of all start with my mother. I would say because over the years, she has been resilient within health and social care herself. At least she has spent over 20 years within health and social care. So I would say she does inspire me as a person. I see her resilience, I see her perseverance despite all the challenges that she's faced within the sector. And, and she's still thriving despite all of that she's faced. So my mother inspires me. And the other person that inspires me, she's actually on this platform, which I would say is Trisha. Um, Trisha also inspires me as a woman. I've seen incredible achievement that she's had over the years. And one thing that strikes me about Trisha is her humility. As a leader, she is humble and she's willing to help. She's willing to support. She's willing to leave the door open for others to come in. So she inspires me as well. So, and I know I'm saying it for the first time. So yeah, you are. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you, but the final question that I would like to ask you: do you feel, I guess, do you feel you can be a role model to others, to other Black people coming to the sector, or those who would like to be and show up in the sector, as well as those coming to the sector?
Initially, if you had asked me these questions, like over 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I'll probably say no. But it is amazing the past couple of years, especially founding Black Women in Care. This is the words of people to me, like your mentor, your coach. You inspires me. So I would say, yes, I can be a role model for others. And I've been a role model for others. Or people have joined Care because of myself. People are aiming to achieve more because they've seen my achievement. And because of that, they feel like they could achieve more as well. So yes, I would say I could be a role model for others. Thank you.
Okay, well, I mean, you can tell anyone where they can find you, Black Women in Care, which I've found, and you've been really helpful. And I'm a male, so I think there's a lot behind it. So you're doing
We
a
do
lot.
have allies as well, so you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Next, I'm going to move to my next guest. And as I said, we've got a range of people throughout health and social care. There's users, managers here, directors, people across the board. I'm going to move to a really inspirational character for me, and it's Isaac Harvey. And Isaac, I know you're a user of the service. I see you skating around everywhere.
Yes.
Point of inspiration, just to explain a bit about what does Black History Month mean to you?
So for me, well, actually, I'm going to cheat a little bit because I was asked to give a quote for an organization called Bloom, and they're doing a Black in Action series, where they asked me if I would give them a quote, and I'm just going to read it here because it answers the question. But yeah, Black History Month is coming together as a community of all walks of life and like-minded of each other is a true representation of action speaking louder than words, which follows the theme. The reason I said that is like us coming together, having panels like this, and being able to speak our truths and the struggles and how we overcome them and show people we're like just like everybody else.
And I'm going to ask you this, and you can answer as best as you want to. Do you feel you can be a role model to others, should we say?
So I do a lot of disability advocacy work, which is why I'm lying down at the moment. It's because I use the computer with my feet. And I feel I'm quite a big name for when it comes to disability and what can be done when you have a disability. But also having a disability and also being a Black young man is seen, I guess, could be seen as a role model to show people anything's possible if you put your mind to it.
Oh, fantastic. Do you have any role models that that stand out for you? Any Black role models that you'd like to mention?
So I'm going to do what the previous speaker did and call out two people on the panel. Firstly, I'd like to say Elaine. It's someone I've known for quite a while, and we did a podcast together. And I love how she just says it how it is, and no holding back, which is something that we got to be more confident to say our truths. And also, I got to give a shout out to Carl. We've been talking quite recently and getting to do stuff together, and him allowing, well, we've had to put a lot of trust in each other for adventures that we've got up to and going to Berlin, and yeah, he's someone I feel is doing great work in the space, and it's great to collaborate with him. So both of them are great and people I look up to.
No, thank you very much for that, Isaac. I know you've taken your time out to be here, but yeah, yeah, I know. I think you're inspirational, and I think race and disability are things now that people look at, and I think intersectionality are words that people use, and I think crossing that boundary is wonderful when we can achieve anything. And I love what you said of people coming together. So yeah, thank you very much for your input. I'm going to go then, as you've mentioned Carl's name, I'm going to go to Carl, who seems to be here. So Carl, thank you for joining us as well. I know that you've been doing lots of good things, especially around with Isaac. So I'm going to ask you, the first question around that. And then once again, what does Black History Month mean to you, Carl?
What does it mean to me? Great question. I'll be honest with you. Black History Month, I think, is something that's been glorified for a month in person. So we're going to have real talk in a sense that we shouldn't be October. It should be every single day of the year. Just like disability, just like everything should be a celebration to appreciate who we are and where we've come from. It's a shame that everything has to get put in a month, which is 10 months down the line. If that's the case, it should be the first month of the year. If I'm going to put a stake on it. So that's my opinion just on that. What does it mean? What it does mean is it means that the allies and the people have Black people shoved in their face around the trauma, around the good things that we do, which is underpin the economy, drive efficiency, drive education. Look at the people that we have forgotten, that have passed and laid the foundations for us to be in this place, to have this platform. It allows us to stand up strong, to be counted for and represent who we want to follow us in our footsteps, to make sure that this fight has been one that's been worthwhile to be treated as equal and equity. In a nutshell, that's my thoughts around that.
No, I think I do love your honesty. I think there are various different takes on Black History Month. There's beyond celebration. It obviously is a reminder of what's happened in the past and experiences. And I think we all are part of experiences.
I don't mean to be all doom and gloom. There's also good stuff about what we are doing. So please, that's just the pain that we've got to this point. There's also about the celebration, about what we are doing very well, and that we love each other, and that we are a community. And there's some great stuff that we are doing to feel happy. So don't get me wrong. It's about appreciation of all elements, but to remember our past, I think, at the end of the day.
No. So what role models come to mind when you think of Black History Month? And maybe in health and social care or outside of health and social care.
I'm going to pick two. I've not been involved in health and social care, to be honest. But if I'm going to pick one I will say is my mother, because that's the reason why I'm here. She has dementia. I'm a carer, and she was a sister delivering babies back in 1960, whatever. So, as you can imagine, well-to-do Black woman, come on the boat, got her qualifications, prim and proper, knows what she wants and how she wants it, and has set the path for some of us to follow forward. If I take it to the next level, then I would say somebody like, shoot for the stars, somebody like Barack Obama, who's had the challenges to stand up strong as a Black leader and still have the weight to be able to make a difference, but actually show he can make a difference when it comes to care. And that's about making care accessible for everybody, irrespective of who you are and what you have. That's equal, because we know that insurance is an issue outside of the UK, which is even more challenging than what it is in the UK. The next person I would probably say, but I would say when it comes to health and social care, is my man Isaac. And this is back because I've not really gone into care to a point where it's looking after somebody and understanding the challenges they have and what they do and how they inspire themselves and have gone through some of the dark periods to be there as a leader, to inspire others around positivity, and to, like now, he's on this call right now, his belly is griping him. Most man and man would say, boy, you know what, I ain't doing that. I'm going to go feed myself and see you later. My man is here to represent. And that's what I love about him. You know, he will go through pain for others to be able to help others and support others. So we've got quite a variation there. I've given you 3.
Okay. And finally, you spoke on, do you feel you can be a role model to others? I know you own a business, you're supporting those in this space. I know you mentioned help, you don't feel that you've been in health and social care much, but you know, you are in health and social care, you are part of it, you're part of its support, you obviously have a business in that space. So other people, especially other Black people following this and listening to this, do you feel like you can be a role model?
The answer is yeah, I have to be, because otherwise that we lose hope. You're never too old. I'm probably one of the oldest on here at the moment, I would say, on the basis that this is about letting people know that don't give up on your dream and you need to be counted for. And rather than complain, do something to support or make a difference. So that's why I'm a business owner. It's to change the narrative and to give hope and to give a platform that allows us to come together as Black people, but also not just as Black people, that people that just care. So this is about coming together and using the keyword care, which is part of everyone's DNA, but at the same time aligning ourselves to our culture, because we are a slightly different race that have some challenges that we need to overcome, and but also to unite and actually become stronger, because we are a strong force. That's pretty much it.
Thank you very much for that, Carl. I think it's really interesting having different views. I think health and social care has got a rich mix of so many different specialities in here. And I'm going to go next to Elaine Hughes, and you're a disability empowerment coach. But obviously, once again, the fact that you're Black is something, but it's about you. So the question I'm going to ask, like I've asked the others, is really, when you think about Black History Month, what does it mean to you?
Hi everybody. Can you hear me?
We can, Elaine.
Yeah. So I'm a disability empowerment coach, but I'm also an e-commerce strategist. So I teach people, especially like myself, who are disabled, how to break free of all the restraints and create their own businesses using e-commerce, just like I did. So a bit of back history. So I was born with a disability from birth, medically retired at 32. I had to create my own stream of income because I wasn't employable. So I had to forge my own path. I've been doing that for the last 20 years. So Black history for me is very big, very similar to what Carl said. I don't really think it should be 1 month, because I'm Black 365 days a year. I live it, I experience it daily. So yes, it's great to have recognition in one month, but I think personally we should be teaching our younger generations about Black history consistently. But for us as Black people, it's a consistent cycle. We're doing it every single year. We do it all the time. So I'm not for free, but we're kind of regulating it for 1 month. We do it on a daily basis. Teach it to a younger, teach it to my daughter, teach it to my nieces and nephews. It's a constant learning process that we're doing every single day.
No, thank you for that. And you talked about obviously all the work that you're doing. So do you have someone who's inspired you in a Black person, or a person that you feel has inspired you, or a role model for you?
Yeah, for me, it's my mum. It's watching her determination. Obviously my parents are gone now, but watching her in the 80s when she pulled me out of a specialist school and put me into a state school, and she had to fight and go to court. And this is a woman who's, who wasn't literate, she couldn't read, she couldn't write, she did menial jobs as a cleaner, and she fought her way through the legal system to remove me because she saw in me greatness, but she knew the teachers didn't see that. So for me, she's kind of like the number one. person who really just kind of defined me. And whilst everyone else was kind of writing me off, she was constantly in my ear saying to me, no, you can do this. You can do whatever you want to do. Just because you've got a physical disability, there's nothing stopping you to do what you want. So for me, she's kind of like my hero. And that's probably why I'm so confident now in do what I do.
Thank you for that. Next question, I guess I've asked everyone is, do you feel that you can be a role model or are a role model for other Black people who want to come into the sector, who are looking and maybe watching this video over time?
As I success, I kind of say what it is. I don't see myself as a role model. I just do me. I'm I don't follow people. I live my own path. I follow my own path. I say what I say. If people will look to me and see me as a role model, that's their choice. But firstly, for me, I kind of just do what I'm doing. I break down doors. I'm confident enough to say to people, especially within the Black community where I work and where I have conversations, I'm the one that will ask the difficult questions. I will go into church and say, how we've come, we've got a church environment, but during the pandemic, you weren't around supporting Black disabled people. I'm that person. So people see me as a role model, then fine, but I don't consider myself a role model. I'm just here to do what I'm doing, and that's what it is.
Well, thanks for that, Elaine. I think it's really great what you're saying, because I think being yourself is important. I think a lot of people struggle to be themselves, and obviously what you've spoken about and your mum supporting you has allowed you to be here. And Isaac sees you, all the great things you've done, and I also have recognized and seen all the things you've been doing, Elaine. I've heard you speak and talk about your journey and how you've moved forward, and I think it's great. And beyond being just a disability empowerment coach, you've gone beyond that, and you've been going via e-commerce. So yeah, I think everyone should give everyone a round of applause on this panel. But there's lots of people watching who will see beyond that. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Next, I'm proud to have a care manager who's joined us, a care manager who I would say is doing good things on this space. And I'm gonna bring in Catherine to join us and just to have a brief mention about and speak about herself. And then you can answer the first question is, what does Black History Month mean to you? So thank you for joining us, Catherine.
Thank you for having me, Dudley. Thank you so much. And thank you for, pulling this show off. Really appreciate that. I'm a care manager. I work in a care home called Care Home, and my care home is a multicultural care home. Now the sector is changing in the sense where people of color are going into the care home, and, there are kinds of foods that we eat. You don't see that pretty much in care homes. And me as a care manager, I make sure that we have those provided to the residents that come to my care home, where it is like their home, where they have the foods that they eat, they have the activities that they like to enjoy because of their people of color. So 95% of people in my care home are people of color, which you wouldn't predominantly see. And we have activities, care, just a holistic care that, gauge towards the people of color. So that's something I'm very proud of. Black History Month means to me is celebrating Black excellence in the sense of, how did I get here? How did we get here? It's a reminder and not taking that for granted. So it's a double-edged sword in the sense where I'm a woman of color. So it's two crosses I have to carry and not take that for granted, and make sure that, I lead by example. As far as role modeling, my mom is my role model. She is someone of resilience. She always saw the glass full, not half empty, and always says, because I'm also a Christian, any test that comes towards your way, you see it as a test to give a testimony. So thank you, Dudley.
And you obviously mentioned your mum, and I guess you sort of answered the first two questions. I guess the last question, do you feel you can be a role model or are a role model for other people maybe watching this in the future in all that you do?
I think in the sense where my care home is a care home that has predominantly Black and multicultural. And I think we don't see that too much. And because I've been given that torch to carry, I'm making sure that I do that to the best of my ability. So I don't see myself as a role model, but if I'm given a task and I'm given a task to represent my culture, I will do that to the best of my ability. Hence why I don't negotiate with the kids living in a care home. I don't negotiate to what they like, their likes and their dislikes, because that's what is given to the care, because things are changing and people of color are coming to the care home. So as they're changing, I need to make sure that what they call their home really is their home. So we're celebrating Black History Month in my care home, where people of color, whether you're from Africa or the Caribbean, wherever you're from, we're making sure we're going to have days that they're wearing their cultural clothing. We're giving their cultural food, and that's done every day in my care home. But we're glorifying it. It's unfortunate it's just a month, but in my care home, the way it's different is the fact that we're celebrating their culture every single day, but more because this is Black History Month, we're doing it on a grandiose level.
No, I think that's great. And I know that, others may not know, you were recently given an award and had a Black mayor from Lambeth to come and see you in your home as well, I believe. So I think there's a lot there to be proud of. And I think showcasing, not celebration of just a care home, but we're talking about the area, the representation. I think it's important. I think it's really great that those who are receiving care, and if they're going later in life or commonly, they can actually get their cultural, emotional, cultural awareness and intelligence that's been given. I think it's something that we may not see as much. So thank you very much for providing that. I'm going to then move over to Joe. And Joe is interesting because we understand there's been a huge change on the law, where now people are coming from overseas into this country, especially HCAs or healthcare assistants coming from abroad. And Joe, you've witnessed some of these things, and from a point of view of seeing the changes. So just to explain a bit about yourself, please do. And then I'm going to ask you the first question of what does Black History Month mean to you?
All right. First, thank you for having me, and it's great to be here with such remarkable people. I'm Joe. I or Hendricks Recruitment specialize in helping care providers get access to experienced healthcare assistants, people that have a fountain of information that they can share with us here in the UK. So we do that predominantly from Southern Africa, which is native to myself. So it was an easy option. For me, this month is a celebration, but also, and I think more importantly, an opportunity for education. Unfortunately, our education system here in the UK does not allow for everyone to gain access to Black culture and a proper education on Black people and Black role models. So I view it as an opportunity for us to not only showcase what Black people are doing that is remarkable, but to also educate the rest of the country that these are some of the things that you can expect from Black culture. These are the different ways that Black leaders, Black people in general, lead their lives and manage care homes and do all sorts of remarkable things.
No, thank you. And what role models do you have for Black history, or what Black role models do you have, or do you look to?
First is a group, and then I've got two other role models. The first one is a group, the women that are in my life, the matriarchs. I've been blessed that I grew up around such a very strong women that are leaders. My grandma, my mom, my aunts, they're all very remarkable women. And I think what stands out about all of them, they're deeply caring people. Not only do they care about their immediate families, but they care about the family in general. And they're always pushing that, family comes first. You should always do all you can to keep that family together, and to make sure that your relations, however difficult, are kept, and you keep on going, working through so many difficulties. So to me, I look up to them a lot. and I myself have a lot to learn from them, and I strive to keep on learning. The second one is a bit more popular, Mandela. I think Mandela was a massive proponent of it's called Ubuntu, commonly defined as "I am because we are." I think because of the effect of from my family, I massively believe that all of us are interlinked, and we all need each other in some way. So, and incidentally, I think a lot of the issues that we face today can be solved by just having the compassion to realize that I am because we are. Fundamentally, especially I know racism is a big topic that can be solved by that. And then the last one is Lewis Hamilton. Now, I think if people have been watching Lewis Hamilton for the last 5 years, he has really stepped up in terms of his involvement and his actions towards making sure that there's more opportunities for Black people. Our voices are heard. Even his voice has increased in volume because of the different platforms that he's been able to access because of his success. And I think he's a living example of how to do so, but also to maintain humility and to always realize that there are always more opportunities for you to learn. There are people whose experiences you can always draw from. And also there are worlds that you can get into and you can work hard and conquer. You just need to have that fight and determination about you.
Thank you, Joseph. I think it's very refreshing to have all this richness of why and the role models there. It's really great. And do you feel you can be a role model, or are you a role model for those coming into the sector or those in the sector, especially those Black people maybe watching this today?
Not yet, but I hope to be. I hope to be. I think we all can be a role model to someone by doing our best to make sure that we not only sharing the information that we have, but helping others that might be struggling. But by also, even if someone is thinking about coming into the sector, just giving them a helping hand. Definitely, I think so. Like I myself, I'm relatively new to sort of the business side of the sector, and I've looked out to people like yourself, Dudley, people like Toby. They've been really amazing, but not only just Black people, right? But everyone. I know that certainly the hosts of this show are very good at helping out Adam and Mark. So definitely think I myself can do the same. I hope I can do the same, and always looking for opportunities to see where I can help.
Thank you for that. I think it's great. I love the rich history of people going and learning about their Black history. I think it's not just Black people, but I think history that's available for everyone to learn. So I think it's well said. We're going to go on to one of a person that I've worked with or speak to, and her name is Trisha. And thank you very much, Trisha, for coming here. I know you've had a long day and you're very busy in all that you do. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself briefly and not take away your limelight, but also as well then ask you, what does Black History Month mean to you?
Thank you. Thanks, Dudley. I'm Trisha Pereira. I'm Director of Operations at Skills for Care. And I'm really pleased to be invited to join you all this evening. So you started, Dudley, by talking about the State of Social Care report that Skills for Care released. And I just wanted to share a few stats. So there's 1.5 million workers in adult social care at the moment, and 82% of the workers are female, and 23% of the adult social care workforce are Black, Asian, and minority ethnic workers. Yet these workers only make up 17% of all senior manager roles in the sector. So we're vastly underrepresented there. So that leads me on to, what does Black History Month mean to me? Well, for many people, Black History Month, yes, it's an occasion, a time to appreciate the challenges and the struggles of past generations. and to remember those who've achieved despite the challenges and the struggles, and to learn from their journeys. But for me, as other panelists have said, it's not only a time to look back, but also to look at the present and to look forward at the future. It's a time to acknowledge and to celebrate us right now, because what we're doing now, we're making history. So decisions that we make, you putting on a platform like this, doing a takeover, bringing us all together in this virtual room, people joining us online, we are making history, and it's an opportunity for us to celebrate that. And it's also an opportunity for us to develop our professional networks, forge alliances, to learn from each other, support each other, especially as we strive to shape a better and more inclusive future as well for those who may be aspiring, and for our peers, and for our families.
Well, thank you for that. And what role models or inspirations have you had for coming into social care, health and social care? I know you do a lot, so.
Well, like the rest of the panelists, first and foremost, my parents, my father, who was just an amazing man, really strong, very affectionate, very supportive, was always there for us. And my mother, who again is so lovely, she was a mental health nurse, and she's always had my back. So they raised me right. They supported me, and yeah, and then I ended up where I am. And then in social care, I have a few, but thank you, Olienka. Shout out to you, because you're one of my inspirations as well for everything that you're doing. But also Simone Stewart, who I work with, who leads the Moving Up program. The things that she's doing are just great. And then my co-chair in some of the groups that I'm part of, Sedi Frederick, who's one of the only Black chairs of a hospital NHS trust, and also his chair of an ICS, an integrated care system. So he's chair of the board, and he's also a former England men's international basketball player. And then there are a few others in the sector who have managed to become directors of social care, whether that's in children or adults. Yeah, they inspire me.
Thank you for that. And I guess the next question, I'll say this, Trisha, and it's for you to answer this as honestly as you want to. Do you believe you are a role model, or can be a role model for other Black people coming into health and social care?
Do you know what? I don't think of myself as a role model. I just do what I do. I take the risks that I take. I try to get myself into the room and open the door and keep it open for others to join me and stand in that room with me, because as we know, there's strength in numbers. And if we get into the various rooms, then we can make change on the inside. And if people see me and think that they are inspired, then that's great. But I'm just trying to do the best that I can. I just want to fill the room with as many people that look like me, so I'm not so lonely when I'm in there.
Well, thank you. Well, I think there is something there, especially say moving up, especially in directorial levels and in boards, not just females, but obviously those Black faces that we all want to see. A very bit of a sidebar as well before I go into my next guest is that we know during COVID period there were the deaths of those from Black people were more increased than those of other cultures, and we also know as well that you played a part in a task force. So can you briefly just explain what you're involved with, because it was really monumental, and so that we understand and the effect it had.
Yeah. So during the time of the pandemic, I was working as a head of social care for a local authority. So most of my career has been in the statutory sector, and I in my area, I had social workers, occupational therapists, reablement workers, whole of adult social care. And I became quite angry and very vocal about the lack of PPE, the lack of risk assessments, the lack of just acknowledgement of what my colleagues were going through, and being vocal meant that I was invited to be a chair of one of the COVID-19 task forces, and that's alongside to co-chair that with Sedi Frederick. So we chaired the task force that was for Black and minority ethnic workers in social care and for people drawing on social care. And what we did, there were 7 task forces who had already been meeting, and we were the last to be formed. They gave us 2 weeks to pull together an action plan to engage with the communities, engage with the sector, and put recommendations to the government at that time. And we pulled together a really tight group of members, and we managed to pull together our recommendations. We spoke to academics, we spoke to people in public health, we spoke to people that I had just been watching on TV, on the news, and I thought this is a once in a time opportunity for people to be heard and for the injustices to be recognised. And we managed to do that, and all our recommendations were accepted. So having free vitamin D, having PPE, having enhanced risk assessments for our workers and our staff members, ensuring that people felt supported, that their well-being was being cared for. And in fact, one of the big things that we asked for was noting down on death certificates the ethnicity of people that were dying through the COVID pandemic, because until that point, ethnicity wasn't regularly being recorded. But we knew that data needed to be gathered, and we did that. Yeah.
No, thank you. I think it's great. I think the why I really like you to share this is because there's a range of people on this panel today, and I think we want to show that you can achieve things the highest level, even at governmental level. And if you do make or come together, you can actually make something happen, even if you're given 2 weeks. So I think it's great, and have the ability. So I think nothing should be impossible for us to achieve, and that's inspirational in itself, Trisha. Thank you for that. Next, we've got Deanna Berry, who's come along, and Deanna, I'm gonna let you share your story. Deanna was dropped into this country during COVID and couldn't leave, and she's got to experience all the English things that we do here, and it's Black History Month. So the first question, I know if you came in before, well, I've asked people, apart from explaining who you are, what does Black history mean to you, especially for someone who's not originally from here, and what Black role models have inspired you, be it in health and social care or just generally?
All right. Well, thank you for having me, Dudley, and good evening to everyone here. I have had a lot of reflection on the last 2 years and how far I've come in my journey. And I think Black History Month for me, I was asked this question actually a week ago in my workplace. I work for Serona Care and Health. I'm an integrated network team case manager, and I'm also a non-director position for Stepping Up. I've just been appointed as a non-director. So for me, everyone's been asking me, what does that feel like? And I said, granted, Black History Month is here. Every day for me is Black History Month. I'm reminded every day that I'm Black, but at the same time, it gives me an opportunity to have those very difficult conversations in my workplace around some of the sensitive topics that people don't want to ask questions about Black history or Black people or, you know, my hair. It could be anything about me. And I've pretty much said to them, whatever my ancestors have started, I know that I have a purpose, and my purpose is to go out there and make sure that the work they've done to bring us into the day and age that we're in now is represented fairly, truthfully, and that we are sitting there and saying, okay, well, this person didn't create that. Actually, a Black person created that. And correcting some of those spaces where people have been glorified for things they did not even have a hand in creating. And so for me, that means highlighting that every day of the month. And I've chosen to do that in my workplace because I'm in a position where I can sit on the board and also be in a position of being a co-chair for our global majority network. And I
think we slightly lost it. I think we can't hear you as much. Yeah. So yeah, I think Deanna, I'm not sure if your sound has gone. So she's dropped out. But yeah, Deanna was saying something very powerful. So I'm sure she's going to come back in again. I know Deanna's going to give us as well a poem that she's written as well. So which is going to be really insightful. And I'll be glad and really can't wait to hear it. So I guess it's my turn to speak. And look, thank you very much for everyone for joining me. And the purpose and part of the purpose of this and doing this day is that there's such a rich culture when we think about health and social care, when we think about Black people. And we know from the 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s of nurses coming over to this country, supporting this country. So health and social care has got a rich history around it. There's some really great role models around. And we know from the likes of Mary Seacole that people think about health and social care, who's one of the originators. When we think about things like Florence Nightingale, we think about Mary Seacole. So it's a bit of history that people can look at and really join. Deanna, are you back with us?
I've logged into my laptop because I don't know what happened on my iPad. So
okay. So I'll let you continue, and then I'll continue afterwards. Go on, please continue, Deanna.
I lost my train of thought, but I think the gist of it was that I'm put in positions now in my job where I can actually talk about Black History Month, and we're promoting Black people throughout the entire month, and also highlighting the different careers that Black people have taken, and also taken leadership positions in. And so that's Black History Month means to me exactly that: celebrating our successes and making sure they're heard and that they're told truthfully, and that we can reflect on that and aspire to be some of the things that people have done before us in time. And you asked me someone that I look up to. My mom is always going to be first. To me, she's the most famous person in the world, and I love her. She's a God-fearing woman. But for me, Maya Angelou has always been that person that I always look back on and reflect on her poetry and her position and how she's left a legacy. And I read her poems and I look through some of her biographies and what she's done. And I want to be a game changer. I want to leave a legacy where people, generations behind me, will still be talking about what I did and how I paved the way for them to be in positions where they said Black people don't belong. For my nieces, I want to be able to be that type of strong Black woman for them. And so that's what I've been doing at this time. And that's what, I don't have anyone else really that I can add to that list, but that's it for me.
And do you feel you can be a role model for others coming through? And yeah, go ahead.
No, I'll let you finish your question.
No. The question: do you feel you can be a role model for those coming through, or are you a role model?
I believe right now I am, because my nieces are looking up to me and they come and ask me questions a lot of the time. They've seen what I've done. Me traveling and moving here has been a big step. No one in my family has ever done that. And so they're like, Auntie Deanna, how did you do that? Or what does that feel like? And I can say, look, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. I'm doing all the things I wanted to do. I'm living my best life right now. COVID or no COVID, I have no regrets in being here, because I'm stepping into circles where I probably don't belong. I'm meeting with people who are on higher levels than I am, and they're taking me with them. So for that, I think I'm showing people that, look, I arrived, but look at where I'm at now, and it's only been 2 years. And so that to me has been, do it humbly, but I'm doing it very strategically so that I can make sure that a Black voice is heard in every circle where I don't see Black people.
Fantastic. And I'm going to ask you, because I know I asked you kindly to pen a poem, because I know that when it comes to this, there are something that you'd like to share. And I think part of this is we get culture, we get history, we also get poetry as well. And Deanna, I'm going to allow you to share something that you've written for us and for those who are listening, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. It took me a while when you asked me to think about it. And I said, you know what, God, if I'm supposed to write this thing, let it come to me. And it came to me literally 24 hours ago. So it's called Black Girl Fly. There is something to be admired about her intriguing gaze, her crown of lush curls. Divine wisdom is her name. The shape of her face, the curves so defined, plump lips so smooth, big brown eyes that shine. Her sharp ears hear the whispers of justice and grace as she takes her place among the many who have heard the call and who stand for freedom and equality, one and all. She stands, hands wide open, palms lifted in praise, as she accepts her blessings and purpose, knowing God has predestined her days. She was created in God's image, her gifts perfectly defined, her skin a dark chocolate to accentuate her eyes. She stares attentively at her purpose, her posture steady and tall. Her voice echoes like a roaring lioness. Her words will be heard and felt by all. Her distinct voice will not be silenced. Her rhythmic step will keep the beat. As she walks into her purpose, she can feel her ancestors' heartbeat. She hears the voices of brothers and sisters who have walked this path where she has been led. She can feel their hands on her back and shoulders and her mother's praying hand on her head. She is ready to face the resistance from those who try to block the way. Her feet move without hesitance as she knows her worth and will make it through the day. She recites scripture, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. All those who rise up against me shall fall. She knows nothing is done in her own strength. It is God that can conquer all. As she stares at the oppressors, the intimidated, and the thieves, she's reminded of her purpose and speaks eloquently. You don't own me. You cannot silence me. You can never be me or take my place. When I look in the mirror, I do not see you or what you stand for, only a legacy that can never be replaced. You can extinguish my ancestry. You can't extinguish my ancestry, history, my story, or even me. Like the sun, I will continue to shine everywhere and will shine on the truth that needs to be seen. I will keep fighting for freedom and equality as more truth is revealed each day. That what you think you created, it is my ancestors that have paved the way. You will not trip. I will not trip up my step as my ancestors' drum beats only in time. My crown of curls bouncing with the rhythm as I clap my hands and walk with a sway in my thighs. My glistening dark skin so blinding, you will see the stars and smile in my eyes. My passion and purpose overwhelming, like an all-consuming fire, I will light the skies. Let me sing to you what I can hear my ancestors in unison singing back to me. Black girl fly so high. Black girl fly, you are free.
Thank you so much. That's really great. And I love that you're able to write that. I think it's great. We haven't got long left, and it's interesting as there's only 8 of us on the panel left, and as we know, 1 in 8 of the care workforce are Black. So I'm going to quickly round off with each of you. Just got a minute, because the theme for Black History Month is time for change, action, not words. So what change in action would you like to see or could you see? So I'm going to go in the room, and I'm going to start with Joe very quickly. So you have just a minute just to run through this, if that.
All right, thank you. For mine is, I think it's based on all of us looking inside, right? I think a lot of the times we get stuck in the things that happen to us. It's very easy to get sidetracked by the difficulties that we face. And a lot of them are justified, and I think it's good to point out when we've been wrong. But I think something that I would like to see is for more of us to instead of reacting in a negative way, or one that would shut the door for someone to learn more, especially if they've made maybe a slight comment that they didn't think mattered, maybe taking the opportunity to educate them. Recently, I learned that communication is based on the person that is listening, not on the person that is speaking. So if we remember that and try to communicate in a way that will touch their heart, and maybe we can make very small changes to the people that we encounter every day.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Elaine next. And sorry, we haven't got much time, but everyone's going to be strapped to just a minute, if that. Do you want me to remind you of the question, Elaine? So the theme for Black History Month is time for change, action, not words. What change or action would you like to see or could you see?
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. I think it's education, but I also think there needs to be some understanding. So from my point is a carer who's been a carer for her parents, also who's a carer for her daughter, but also who's been a service user herself with a disability. and then the lack of education around disability. There's still a lot within the Black community, and there's a lot of stigmas around disability. We're not, as a community, we're not comfortable with when we're faced with disability, especially when it comes to young people and young adults with disability. It's not something we don't talk about. I think personally, we need to sit down and have these conversations, and that's kind of, I think, is around, as Joe said, it's around education, it's around communication, it's about conversation. It's actually asking your service users, what they need versus what you think they need, and recognizing that that person is an individual in their rights. So even for myself, for past experiences, I know I never get asked by a care what I want. You always want to assume of what I want. And I think until we start actually recognizing, disabled people as, having their values, needs, and wants, then that opens a conversation for us to talk through. So yes, that's what I think the change was.
Thank you very much. And Olayinka, I haven't got long, so we're gonna sort of run through quickly. So what time for change, what action, what would you like to see going forward?
Thank you very much, and it's been amazing being on this platform, and thank you for facilitating it. I would like to use this word that I like from my favorite book in the world. It's from Matthew 5:7-9. It is actually a message verse. It said, "You're blessed when you care. At the moment of being careful, you find yourself cared for." And I would like to see more leaders to actually care about people that are not white, about Black people, to actually do care and show that they care. And how can they do this? Is for them to be able to build a more inclusive and equitable workplace. That should be the top priority for leaders at all organizations. And with the analysis of workforce data from ASC rather, WDS, it shows that there were differences in diversity between job roles, and there were proportionally more males and more white people in senior roles than frontline roles, and obviously the root cause of the difference, they couldn't ascertain it from the data. So I would like leaders to lead with relationship and trust, and every other thing will follow. And because once they do that, employees would experience a culture of trust. They will feel that they're incredible. Their credibility will show. The leaders should be able to demonstrate a high level of respect for Black people, for their contributions to the organization. They must recognize what they do, not just when they're not doing the job properly, or they must recognize the contributions that they're making within the organization. And they should create an atmosphere of fairness. And asking questions, is there anything I can do to support you, for example? So a leader, they need to lead with a relationship and trust, and the rest will follow. Thank you.
Okay. And then, sorry, Catherine, I know I'm going to round up, but just we want you to sort of just explain what you'd like to say.
For me, I would like to see more care homes that are multicultural, like my care home, and see more people in a leadership position and that are of people of color, and taking that to the next level. Like Deanna said, her inspiration is Maya Angelou. Her point was so beautiful. She took it to the next level. So I've been given that torch to, have a multicultural care home, make it to be, as best as I can. I want to pave that way that most people who come would, can carry that moving forward and take it to a more grandiose level.
Thank you very much for that, Catherine. And I think we're going to squeeze in we've got 20 seconds each. So Trisha, if you'd like to just quickly round up, if you can do, that would be great.
Yep. An action that I would like to see is that we are fully supported to implement the workforce race equality standards for social care, as they have done in the NHS. And Dudley, I'm so pleased that you're supporting us with getting that all together and off the ground. And finally, you have been a brilliant co-chair so far. So great. Thank you
very much. And both Deanna and Carl, I'm just going to round off by saying thank you everyone for joining us. And I think it's about people to be brave and appreciate, celebrate, but also understand that Black people are a big part of the sector and should be appreciated, and allies as well, all alike. I think it's been a wonderful month and celebrate, but it's beyond Black History Month. So everyone, thank you very much for joining us, and share more of this all around. Thank you for this great show.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
the best. Well done, Dudley.
Great.
Oh,
Well done.
great job.